Trying to remember in early life, and this may be syncopated with the wider historical context in terms of ages, when it is discovered that such things take place. Moreover, considered an entertaining sport. Legal still to this day in Spain, Portugal, and France, and various Latin American countries, due to importation into those latter-day colonies. Thinking, then, the only positive outcome would be to watch these magnificent animals goring the fool dressed up in clown costume, gold and sparkling with shiny buttons and silly hat. Preferably follow that up by trampling all over his body, caving the skull in like a rag doll, blood and shattered bones. That would be just and somewhat magnificent. Would the brainwashed, retarded peasants, using that term in its derogatory rather than social sense, as most people who enjoy this sort of thing are wealthy and privileged, continue to cheer then? Considered one of the greatest bullfighters of all time, João Belmonte Garcia, 1892 to 1962. Nearly lost his life, 1927, having to be saved by others coming to drag him out. The royal family of Spain were present. His greatest rival, José Gómez Ortigo, killed in 1920, aged 25. Good riddance. But you really have to blame the older vultures who encourage the young men to get involved by making it seem macho and heroic. But it is the only way it will get finally banned, as no one cares how many animals get hurt. By way of cross-reference into the realm of the intellectual humanities, João Delmonte crops up in the Woody Allen film Midnight in Paris and several Ernest Hemingway novels, another pusher of the masculine sex and violence, lording it over nature paradigm. The most famous and published film and literature icons always seem to know each other or have similar interests. Woody Allen married the daughter of his ex, Soon Yi Previn, in 1997. She was 21 and he 56. In his 1979 film Manhattan, the plot follows himself playing a 42-year-old man enjoying his sexual relationship with a 17-year-old student. The actress's name is Marielle Hemingway, the granddaughter of the author. The connections reveal the Hollyweird type pedophilic inbreeding and affiliations behind the scenes. Ernest Hemingway first fell in love while recuperating in a World War I hospital to a nurse, Agnes von Kurowski. He was 20 years old. She was 13. She is characterized in his best-selling novel, A Farewell to Arms, and the 1996 film In Love and War with Sandra Bullock. On returning home to the US, she writes him a letter calling the relationship off. He goes on to be married 4 more times. The point is, it is not normal or good people that make it to the top. Apparently, not only Hemingway, but his father, brother, sister, and granddaughter committed suicide. In 2025, Manuel Trindu died in Campo Pequeno Ring, Lisbon, age 22. Apparently, some people were upset. Why? What do you expect? The level of stupidity is staggering. Jumping into a fire, then complaining about being burnt. Only a fire isn't a living, conscious victim to be slowly murdered with one then another spike stuck into it in front of a braying audience. It makes a football match seem like the height of sophistication. The hard fact of the case is he got what he asked for. And that's not gloating. I'm still sorry for an unnecessary death, but at the same time would be more upset if it had been the bull. At least in the Roman games, which this is based on, when they threw the Christians to the lions and had gladiatorial fights, it was human beings that had some idea of what was going on. There is no honor here. Like when they have that festival, the running of the bulls, every year at San Fermin, Pamplona. A group of animals is let loose through the narrow streets, culminating at the bull ring. There were 40 injuries in the 2025 event. More pressure on the local hospital for these idiots, while some grannies on the waiting list for an operation. Unfortunately, the ritual is designed to appeal to that sense of danger, the possibility of it happening, reptilian brain. The other aspect is to keep people detached in how they relate to the natural world, an inversion of the Garden of Eden philosophy. The notion that to become a man, because women as yet don't really take part, thank goodness, you need to do that first hunt. You've proven your worth by pulling a trigger so as to unalive a deer, for instance. It's like a cowardly cop-out to achieving doing anything really difficult or worthwhile to make said transition. Unsurprisingly, the beginnings of bullfighting and fox hunting are found post-Great Reset, mid-18th century. That it's a tradition of Iberia is a myth. There's the theory that the ancient inhabitants of Crete did gymnastics, jumping over a bull, and lots of that artwork may be metaphorical. Francisco Romero, 1700 to 1763, is generally considered responsible for most of the modern techniques, being on foot, using a red cloak, pivoting and dodging. Around then, the popularity of fox hunting in Britain and elsewhere increases dramatically, with figures like Hugo Meynell, 1735 to 1808, Member of Parliament and land-owning aristocrat, implementing the practice of the exhaustive running down of the fox using special bred hounds. It is not normal for packs of dogs to hunt a skinny nocturnal carnivore. Everything about it reflects unfairness, a sick and twisted approach with a cultic sacrificial edge. That is why they would wear red, rip the head and tail off as trophies. Not without a struggle, it was outlawed in 2004. Zoos were just around the corner too. The British Empire's idea of biological scientific progress, taking exotic animals from across the earth, sticking them in cages in England. London Zoo at Regent's Park, established 1828, is the first of its kind. Its purpose for the first 19 years was solely animal experimentation, opening for the amusement of the Victorian public, 1847. Large animals, including orangutans, were kept inside until 1902, never to see the sun. There were lions, an African elephant called Jumbo, 1865, progenitor of the Disney cartoon Dumbo, giraffes and reptile house. It is all the same people involved in colonization and running the country funding it. Stanford Raffles, Governor of the Dutch East Indies. Baronet Humphrey Davy, President of the Royal Society, and the Marquis of Lansdowne, Home Secretary and Chancellor of the Exchequer. All of them are top rung of the ladder, finger in every pie. Stamford Raffles was initiated into the Dutch Lodge, becoming Master Mason and Worshipful Master. Sir Humphrey had a lodge named after him, number 9327, in 1989. The 20th century promulgators of this practice began to feel the need to justify it by talking about saving species from extinction. The same ones they just spent the last 200 years hunting and eradicating their territories for farming and mining. Lo and behold, in their miserable condition, the animals don't want to reproduce in captivity. It's like these people who enjoy keeping birds in a small cage where all they can do is sit there. Cannot understand the mentality in finding the enjoyment in that, other than, I own and control you. For good reason, wild animals have learned to avoid humans. Not because of their physical presence or strength, obviously. An energetic barrier has been purposefully created. The ignorance and imbalance is all coming from one side.